Judy's opinion, that it violates the secret ballot.
If you
They
take a
told us
picture of
we
your
couldn't.
own now,
Because what,
There were signs posted this year, the only reason I knew is I read Joe Lawrence and they had a story on it. But there were signs posted at my precinct, you cannot take a picture of your ballot.
well, that comes down to what was going on over there. They actually had cases of people taking their proof. If you're, for what purpose are you taking a picture?
to prove what how you vote.
Yeah, who you proved it to? The payoff.
Yeah.
Uh,
I wondered about Tracy because she always likes to take a picture of it because it has my name on it. That's what she always does. And she's always done that. So this year I said, I read on Joe Lawrence just against the law, you don't take a picture, there's a sign.
Well, then buku of people have been doing it. It's just happened, you know.
Well, I appreciate y'all, and thank you for getting involved in that, because it is an issue, and it's, maybe it's not as bad as after this election, but it was horrible after the election. Speaking of, reasons it got to be horrible, picking our judicial system is pitiful at best.
Now, I'm definitely gonna let you read Chris's response to this first.
Okay? We need accountability in the elections, and even at least the people, if we, and I'll take, for example, the guy that killed 7 people in the mall down in Columbia. I forget which House of Representatives Judiciary Committee lawyer he got, but he went in front of the judge that he had appointed 6 months earlier. The guy cost him $2,500 to get out of jail. If that had been me, it'd been $2.5 million. Now, what's wrong with that picture? He's standing in front of the guy that just put him on the bench, and if he goes against him, he can take him off just as easy as he put him on.
Was that a bond arraignment you talking about?
Yeah.
You're talking about in front of the summary court judge.
Yeah, and the judge set the bond at $25,000 after killing 7 people, and it only cost him $2,500 to get out of jail. Now
I don't think that was summary court. I think that was, that's Fifth Circuit. I'm going to answer this question.
but we need.
I'll wait for Chris to say.
Okay. We need to.
Do you want public?
elect?
Yeah, who do you want? Do you want the public to elect the judges?
You bet.
Is that what you want? What's your rationale for that?
The rationale is in Houston, Texas, where they did it, when a judge did
crazy stuff.
crazy things like that, let people off, he or she was off the bench the next time around. They were no longer a judge 4 years later.
Yeah, the vast majority of the issues in the public election of judges are politician judges pandering to woke constituencies and woke jurisdictions. That has only flipped this cycle. And the biggest case in point is Gascon out in LA. I'm scared to death of putting, especially in jurisdictions. That's the secret. That 5th Judicial Circuit down there, which is Richland and Kershaw County, I can't trust the voters of that circuit. I can't trust them. I couldn't trust them to run a fair election. That's the reason we had to go in there and take their local election commission responsibilities. And the same thing here. I feel like if you get into jurisdictions where they can be pandering to a constituency that is going to be not of the same mindset for law and order as you and I mean, we wouldn't have that problem in the 13th. But there are circuits in this state where you would have a tremendous problem.
Well, what's your solution? What's your solution for judiciary?
It's already working. Activists and constituencies have gotten tuned in. And we have, now that there's been scrutiny of these sorry jurists, you had, in certain circuits, you leave us to our affairs and we'll handle it. Don't come meddling in here. Now, all 170 legislators vote on all these circuit races.
Mhm.
You let us have our judges and we'll let you have yours. There's been that. That's basically said, you stay out of our circuit, just follow our lead or don't vote.
Yeah,
So a lot of people might not even vote. Now, everyone realizes, no, we have a statewide responsibility as a General Assembly to make sure every circuit has good judges. And it was highly controversial because one of your colleagues didn't make the bench. One of your former colleagues, you have to sit out a year after you serve the General Assembly before you run. It ought to be 5. It should be 5 years before a former legislator can serve. Highly controversial down in the 5th where one of your former colleagues was not elected to the bench. And he's a decorated but he had some questions out there, and the General Assembly, dominated by Republicans, said, you know what? The public is tuned in on this. I'll take it to the appellate court and Supreme Court races. We went from
We did not elect him.
and then we went from a Supreme Court that's been giving us bad rulings, and whether it's school choice or whether it's appellates on some of these criminal cases, and now we've got one of the best Supreme Court benches we've ever had because the public's tuned in. Same thing for the appellate bench.
Yeah.
Well, these judges rise up through the ranks. They get elected to family court or circuit court down here, and 20 years later, they're sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta watch them all the way. You can't play games, where, okay, we're gonna let this particular circuit have their own way. Every legislator has gotta be involved in every seat, otherwise you can't afford to drive through some of these counties. You can't afford to get a park. I tell my, kinfolk, I said, don't drive through Fulton County. You might get a parking ticket. You might get a traffic violation in Fulton County, Georgia. Well, they said, why can't you go? Well, you can't trust Fulton County because of Fannie Willis. What they do to one, they can do to somebody else. My point is, if the public will stay on top of the General Assembly, put good judges on the bench, as a fallback to that, gubernatorial appointments with legislative confirmation. That would be a
I would go for that as long as the ones who support, who give the, proposed judges to the
Screening committee.
get the judiciary, get the trial lawyers off the judiciary committee.
Oh, and also, don't let, I would gladly give up the magistrate judges, just so, because I got good ones, I got law and order judges.
Mhm.
I got former law enforcement, and I've got hard-nosed magistrates that I'm responsible for reporting to the governor. I can't count on that always among my colleagues. Therefore, I would gladly, I'm not jealous of that. Bringing in a bunch of these, especially magistrates, senators practicing in front of their own magistrates. That's anathema. Tom Corbett and I've been working on that for 12 years.
I'll add something too.
That should have gotten put into this package. We should have gotten the senators out from in front of their own magistrates, in this reform we just got. But
The reform that we just did, where they're all
it's
straightened
just what
out.
Marcus talking about. We got the lawyers off the
We got the
screening
lawyers off the
committee.
screening.
And also the lawyers been setting the table for the elections, but only letting 3 nominees come out
Now we let them all come out.
if they're qualified.
If they qualify,
And the
all,
governor's now got,
used to narrow it to 3, and then by the time,
we trimmed down.
So y'all have been working on that, and
we had to form this past
Yeah,
year.
we got the lawyers off the screening committee, and we got the governor, we doubled his appointment. He's got 5, and we got, well, it's even.
Okay.
Also, right here, which one of the public, is I've referred people to it, and my mind's out of the loss right now, but you can go and you can make a formal complaint against judges. I've had someone that was very upset about a family court judge out of Newberry County, and they live in Lawrence, and they made numerous complaints against her.
And that is in the record, and
That goes in the record, and then,
if you get a loaded up record of something, and they're also measured by the peers too. So whether it's constituent complaints or people, it's called,
that's what I can't think of the name.
it's called the, Judicial Discipline Council.
Yes, that's it.
And you get a black eye there,
And
you don't usually retire. You
Remember,
go back in there.
we removed the girl from, I said the girl, but she's let's say because she's so young, from Spartanburg. Remember, she got removed from it, I can't remember her name, but because of those bad ratings, because when it comes through, you see what the public rating is and what the peers are.
Well, we've got one guy in this area, just recently, he just got sent back to jail, he got out, out of 6 years, he'd been in jail 5 different times, he just got out after 2 years of a 5-year sentence, and was put back in, 6 weeks later?
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Some judge let him out because he's good, and he's
Yeah,
back in
that's-
6 months. And I told this to Ashley when she was talking about the hate crime bill. If you punish the crime, you wouldn't have to worry about what the heck they thought about. If he gets 5 years, make him spend 5 years there. Don't let him out 2 years because he's good behavior when he's been in 4 times before that. That's one of the things that we see out here a bunch. I mean, we come to the crime watch thing and pipe in here, we see that all over the place. People saying they're walking down the street.
You know, that's the difference, and how you gonna put it.
Well,
Where you gonna put it?
When you get there.
Where you gonna put it?
exactly, so what constitutes a violent crime? Because I generally thought, well, it galls me to keep these people up. This whole issue of recidivism and the penal system it's just symptomatic of a broken society. And yeah, we can't let these violent offenders threaten multiple times, but boy, we have got to come up with something better than spending $23,000 a year per inmate.
At least they don't get cell phones.
Yeah, so
a
what-
lot of our
And you don't get
a lot of our corrections,
what usually ends up happening,
it is against social welfare.
yeah, what usually ends up happening, at least with the ones that we get down in this part of the county, the repeat offenders that keep coming back over and over again, they don't end up going away until they end up being felon in possession of a firearm, and then they go to federal, where they're gonna serve that time, no matter what. And so if they're going to local court, and sometimes even to state court, sometimes they've even killed somebody, and they're, a couple years they're back out. So, I mean, that's part of the reason why this, community, gets up about things like that.
We have the largest crime watch group in Greenville County that meets here the second Thursday of every month.
Next week,
That
today.
Fort Soul group, was about the genesis for every other group in the county.
Yeah, it was one of the first.
Well, I'll read you what Chris says. He said, I'm supporting of reforming the judicial nomination election process. South Carolina has more trial lawyer legislatures in the General Assembly than any other state. Only one other state elects county judges similar to the way we elect them, and that's a blatant conflict of interest. We must ensure our judges who are hearing cases can do so fairly without bias. I will co-sponsor any legislation to reform the system. So he's kind of general on that one, and I understand he doesn't know, we haven't been there, so he doesn't know what all.
No, the reason I'm interested in what Chris says is because Chris has been through, in particular, the primary process. I'm really attuned, I'm asking everybody that's been in a hard-nosed primary, hey, what are the people telling you?
Okay.
That's the reason I'm particularly attuned to Chris or anybody else that's been
y'all can have a long conversation.
Oh, I told everyone to stop by and pick me up.
Oh, okay. The gas tax was installed to fix our roads. We paid over 6.5 billion in additional tax since that was done. We see most of the money going to the low country and the Midlands.
Yep.
We gotta prioritize roads and bridges in our budget, especially here in Greenville County. We're the third fastest growing county in the United States of America. They're building, and due to the people that we are getting rid of on county council, they're building subdivisions willy-nilly everywhere, and we got the same two-lane roads. It's time that Greenville County is the largest size-wise and, population-wise. We need to get the most money for roads.
We get $4,700.
4 cents on the dollar.
And I'll tell you what Harris County did.
How they measure it, I'm just curious.
About the amount we paid in and the money we got to fix roads with other people.
Okay, so that's not based on. So I know, if you use that, I buy a lot of gas in Greenville County, but it'd suit me if it just came on back to Lawrence, because that's where I do most of my driving. I just happen to buy my gas there in Fountain Inn, just about a mile inside the line. So I'm sitting thinking, people in Pickens, Anderson, Spartanburg, they're gonna think, well, that's my hard-earned money, and I just bought my gas there, but I do most of my driving somewhere else. Why should, I'm just playing devil's advocate with.
Yeah, I buy my gas sometimes in Pelham, which is Anderson, so, Spartanburg, wherever I am.
Well, I'll
I
tell you
think
what,
what's frustrating for us is getting the car about Charles. You can tell as you go down where the money starts.
the further south you go, the better the roads get.
The better the roads are.
You talk about driving the interstate.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it is, if you talk about building all these houses, if you build 4-lane roads instead of 2-lane roads, they really will build a lot of stuff. It would, I think
If they just fix the
I think one of the
2 lane.
best, strictures on overdevelopment is to have good planning, and good planning doesn't necessarily mean 4-lane road. Because if you build a 4-lane road, they will fill it up.
Well,
If
that may be,
just fix the ones that are 2 lane.
well,
Drive Fairview Road out here, go over the potholes.
Well,
and
I'm not arguing with
Come
that,
down.
it took me a long time to get here. I'm not accustomed to it, but it's,
but look at,
I fought this, I filibustered this tax increase. I fought it tooth and nail.
Yeah.
But
now that we've got it, and I understand what you're saying about if you build it, they'll fill it, but at the same time, they're building it anyway. So, what you cut, and I haven't done, Fort Shoals in a while, but I have sat at the corner of 418 and Fairview through 6 lots from people backed up, going south on Fairview Road. That means that they've already built it. We've got to do something. You can't keep this backing people up.
Well, that's just a practical matter here. The General Assembly doesn't appropriate these dollars.
Who does?
Well, there's nothing in the General Assembly just in the last couple of years started putting extra money. All this money, this is handled by the Transportation Commission, which is a cabinet level. We have a Secretary of Transportation, he's appointed by the governor, with participation by 7 commissioners who helped develop what they call the state transportation plan. And that's a bunch of criteria about what roads get, they prioritize them about who gets surfacing treatment, where new intersections get built, where new bridge interchanges get built.
What is the name of that committee or whatever it is?
South Carolina Transportation Commission.
Our commission for our area lives in Anderson.
And when we first, the bridge that's out here, down here on McKelvey, originally, they weren't even gonna put it up for bids until this year. and a group of us went down and sat down with Danny, and
Y'all are what I call cage rattlers.
and he got in touch with the secretary, the DOT, and said, we heard what all he said to it, and he said, I'm coming by your office on the way home this afternoon, something's wrong with this ticket. And sure enough, I mean, we're at least, it's supposed to be finished by the end of this year, I doubt it. But that was the original plan that they came out with after we raised so much cane and got them started. It was supposed to be done by the end of this year. But my complaint is, they spend $16 million on a footpath across 385 that 5 people a week use, and wouldn't do this bridge that 400 people a day use.
A major east-west corridor. Now, did the state build that?
Yes,
You talking about that crosswalk?
yes,
Yes.
DOT built it.
Well, you failed to tell me, we couldn't go over that
I
bridge
did
for
too. I thought,
6 years
we thought
before
it was
it said
built by private development.
No, it was DOT dollars.
the bridge down here for 6 years before they condemned it, the school bus couldn't go over.
Yeah.
So it's been a mess.
But anyway,
We got out and we just, countywide, the sales tax, we just voted down. We was, had the SCDOT, Dan Tripp said, we have $500 million in our meeting. Could y'all start paving roads tomorrow? And they said, no. We have a 2-year backlog. If you go down 26, 85, you see construction after construction after construction. Not only is the problem money, finding someone to do it.
Well,
Right now, it's $1 million a mile.
It's a capital intensive, field, there's not construction companies on every corner.
yeah.
Get
Well-
that, and there's also this terrible inflation factor on anything that's petroleum based.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, when they pass that gas tax on us, they were talking about how many miles up each, dollar is gonna,
Yeah.
the ratio is way down because the money just doesn't go anywhere. And also, the vehicles are not producing, we're not producing the revenue per car anymore. These electric vehicles aren't toting the load because we haven't adjusted. What happened to that electric vehicle study committee? You know, these electric vehicles are not, anybody got all electric, the hybrids are,
I wouldn't have one if you gave it to me.
well.
Only thing I know
they're
is you
not,
can see that.
right now, we don't have it set up, where they're, what's it, it's $200?
So, that's a fee.
Yeah, but it's way off from what they should be generating, because they didn't calculate the weight, anyway.
Yeah.
We're not, but these cars are getting, so these hybrids also are really, we're not getting the same revenue per vehicle per mile that we were getting even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So the dollars are not.
I was updating Danny on something, because Danny and I share a lot of the same constituency. And I was telling him about on 418 and Fountain Inn, when you go out, Durbin Road goes to the right and you go to the left. Well, it just happened, like, day before yesterday, a sinkhole came under the road because they feel like it was related to the hurricane. Well, they sent somebody up here to do a few things, but next week's supposed to be a downpour, and it's like a 2-week wait out now before they can repair it. But all those big trucks that are coming from Spartanburg, southern Spartanburg County and Woodruff, that come through there to get to 385 to get to 26, or 385 to get to 85 instead of going up Woodruff Road. They're going through neighborhoods and going through back roads to get around. And, but my point is that even like Dave was talking about the expense with the fuel and the weather has to be a certain way, there's always some excuse. And it just grows and grows and grows. And as far as the growth, I know Danny knows where I live.